Hello and welcome to Painless Universal Conversation with myself and Welsh. Today I'll be talking to Jennifer Nikoro. She's based out in Nigeria, and today we'll be talking about the pain of living with a physical disability. In Nigeria, there's still a massive stereotype when people have a disability because people don't want to affiliate with them. They still see them as an outcast, especially when the child is being born with a disability, because they feel that child has brought some bad luck to the parents. So there's that stigma that people still haven't got understood that it's not the case. But people still have this misconception that if you're born with a disability in a country like Nigeria or rest of Africa, that you were a cost child. And that is something that my guest, Jennifer, will be talking about. Jennifer is born with a physical disability, but she's gone on to become a lawyer, even going through challenges of the pain of going through to school to become a lawyer, but that she's never let that hold her back. And she's a successful lawyer and also gone on to launch a foundation, Life Beyond Your Disability. I can't wait to talk to her on how she's found the courage and how she's found the joy to tackle the pain issues that she was going through. And now become an advocate for so many out there without hope, to give them that joy and to tell the rest of them that this can be done. This can be solved if you only believe you could become painless. Meet Jennifer. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks a lot, Anne. It's nice to be here.
Oh, wonderful. And where are you based? Tell us a little bit about where you are right now.
Okay, currently I'm in Africa and presently in Nigeria.
Oh, lovely. I love Nigeria. I think it's the greatest country in the world because there's so much vibration, there's so much joy, and as much as there's a lot of challenges, there's still so much going on. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, because your story is one of such inspiration that I lived in Nigeria myself, and one of my biggest challenge when I lived in Nigeria was that if I got sick, how would I handle myself? And there you are, you have inspired and overcome barriers. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Jennifer Nikoro. I'm from a family of 6 children, and together with my parents, which is my dad and my mom, I'm the third among the 6 children, and I was born without the right 4 limbs. I grew up knowing that I had a disability and a permanent disability. What else about myself? While growing up, one thing my parents did for me, particularly my mom, was that whenever she apportions roles to each one of us, she doesn't really look at my disability to apportion roles or duties to me. She just give it to me and give me that responsibility. And at the point, I forgot about my disability and I lived my life as though I was accepted. And that was how I grew, becoming who I am today, knowing that I can believe in myself and do anything I want to do.
I like that.
So
I like that, what you said, that your mom just fitted you in, didn't ask, oh, you know what, she has this and we don't want her to do this, we don't want her to be part of the chores in the house, oh, keep her aside. Because, a lot of parents fall victim to that and they don't realize that's not actually adding any value to the child. That's actually taking away the meaning of the purpose to the child, because at the end of the day, I always say to people, at the end of the day, even when we have disability, whatever we have, we still have to fit into the real world. And daddy will not be there. So it's better you start at that young age to adapt them to that real world rather than waiting later and they find it, then they start struggling and all kinds of challenges come their way. So when you were fitting in, even though things were difficult for you, can you just tell us a little bit about your disability and when did you start realizing that things were different?
Okay. As I earlier said, my mom made things easy for me. In the family, no one treated me as though I was a person with disability. I was well accepted and I was doing as much as every other person was doing. So, but at a point when I left the comfort of my family and I went into the higher institution, particularly the university, I started getting some stares, some persons staring at me, and persons not wanting to approach me or to accommodate me. And that's not all alone. I also discovered, aside the isolation, I also discovered some subtle discrimination. At that point, I felt I was a very beautiful girl, a very beautiful lady rather, and because I never understood what disability or discrimination was all about. But when I settled down, I discovered that both the male and the female genders were staring at me, and they were not really talking to me. And that's when I discovered that it was because of my disability. Well, I've always known I was born without the right forelimbs, but I never really took it into me because I had no reason to. The little community I grew up in didn't portray me as a person with disability. But when I came out from my family and went on my own, that was when the world then gave me a name, that I'm a person with disability. And I started having a mental picture of my disability, not just a physical picture.
Wow. Wow. It's so amazing how this world is the one that really makes it really difficult for people. You know, people are fine, they're adapting to what the way they are, but the world has a stereotype and has a name for everything and the way they look at it. But you didn't let that get in your way. Was it because of the love of your family that kept you going, that even though when people were looking at you and saying, what's wrong with you, you went on to become a lawyer? And not just that, to the highest level of being a lawyer. How did you achieve all of this?
Okay. As I said, my I had a mindset, and my mindset had not been stained or polluted until I got into the higher institution. Maybe because I was so guided and guarded by my surrounding. But so I had a very pure image of what I wanted, who I wanted to be at that early stage. I had the support I needed from my parents, because something about persons with disability, having an adequate support system will help you become what or who you want to become in life. So I had that. And most importantly, even when I had issues, at the point in time, I couldn't, at the point in time I missed it. I didn't know who I was anymore because the society was telling me who I wasn't, contrary to what I have always known. So that was where the part of my faith came in. I was brought up in a Christian background where we were taught about Jesus and how he loves us, irrespective of our situation. And I tried every other means to get myself back in shape, but nothing worked. I had to go to meet Jesus, and he had to make me understand that I am in his image, and I'm also in his likeness. So since that point, I started growing in my faith again. Now for myself, not because of what my family taught me. And immediately I grew in my faith, I got in shape, and I was just believing in what Jesus was saying about me, and I kept going.
Wow, that's amazing. And you went ahead and completed your law degree, and now you're working as a, in a very senior position. I'm really honored about it. But one of the key questions before we even end this conversation is that disability in Africa still has a big challenge. You see them when you travel in Africa, Nigeria, for example, you see a lot of people with disability, and there's still that stigma affiliated with people with this disability. And it doesn't matter what you have. I have sickle cell, and I still get stigma, even though I don't look at like I have sickle cell, but I still get stigmatized because I remember people saying to me, "You're never going to get married. You're never going to have a profession. Just stop. Don't bother looking up to life."
Yeah.
The same with disability when it's physical. In Africa, there's the mindset: if everything is not complete, there's something wrong with you. But you took on that challenge to set up your foundation, which is beyond disability. Could you tell us little bit about how you're changing that mindset? of the way
Okay.
people view people with disability and what your foundation does.
Okay, I'll start this way. Persons living with disability in Africa are one of the most vulnerable individuals in the society.
Mm.
There are a lot of stigmatization, isolation, stereotyping, subtle discrimination, and what have you. In fact, in Africa, if you are living with a disability, are most likely born with a disability, just like I was, then you can be seen as someone who is cursed.
Yes.
Cursed probably by the gods or by God, or your family is cursed. So there is nobody wants to associate themselves with you. You're a bad omen. You're more like an abomination. So that's one stigma that goes with persons living with disability. And even those that want to associate themselves with you, or those that decide to associate themselves with you, most times they come in form of sympathy, pity party kind of friends. So you don't get to enjoy that friendship. I never enjoyed any of those friendship because they come to tell you, oh, let me help you do this, let me help you do that. They don't really bring out the best out of you. They make you feel that you were born to depend on someone all your life. Okay, what I mean is, I'll use myself as an example. I had issues with associating with people, and I had few friends and even those few friends I had, most of them were friends based on pity party. Yeah. They were friends that wanted to come around me to help me do my chores, unlike my parents who would tell me, do this yourself. There were friends who felt I couldn't do my laundry all by myself. I couldn't write all by myself. And I was always depressed, which of course I wasn't. But they were having thoughts that I was living a miserable life. So they wanted to come and help me out of my misery, which wasn't the position. So when they come with their emotions, they have a way of influencing you and infecting you rather with their negative emotions. Because that's not the position. So aside that, we also had persons who will always believe that, okay, I could remember the first day I entered into school and everybody was staring at me, both the male and the female folks. And at the point I felt I was the beauty queen. Like, yeah, my mom always told me I was a beauty queen. But at a point I discovered that both the male and the female folks were staring at me, and even my lecturers were staring at me. And they weren't staring at me in a good way. They were staring at me out of sympathy or out of regret or something. So when I thought about it, I discovered that, whoa, it was because of my disability. And no one was coming close to me. And I could sit in the one place, nobody's going to say anything to me. If I say something to them, they will answer me with just one word, as though they don't want to offend me or something like that. So it was an isolated life, and it was quite discriminatory, and it's not a life somebody should live, because this world is not an island. No one's an island of his own. So that goes with it. And together with the discrimination that comes with being a person with disability, you're not good. Yeah, you're not meant to be here in the higher institution. Your place ought to be on the streets, begging for alms. What are you doing coming to study law in an institution such as this? Like, I looked around and I couldn't see anybody like me. I was the only person in my class having no limbs and being in class. Every other person was quite perfect or almost perfect. Yeah. So I knew I was different.
So this is where the foundation came about. So tell us about your foundation, because that is doing really amazing work.
Yeah, thanks. My foundation, the name of my foundation is Life Beyond Disability Foundation. And I got that vision while I was still on campus, while I was still in the university, based on what I faced as an undergraduate and as a person living with disability. I discovered that more persons, or rather, I discovered that many other persons will be facing such discrimination, such segregation, such isolation, not just myself. And I told myself that because of what I have gone through, I don't want other persons to go through as much as I went through, because not everybody may have the strength to come out of this the way I did. So yeah, so I made it as a point of focus to be a disability advocate, to advocate for the right of persons living with disability in Africa, to advocate for their inclusion, to advocate for the right of persons living with disability in Africa, to advocate for their inclusion, and also to seek to empower them both academically, socially, economically, and in every other legitimate means possible. So that is what my foundation stands for. So my foundation was bettered immediately I came out of law school, a year or two after I came out of law school, and I launched it, and I started advocating for persons living with disability, just like myself.
So what's your hope for other people living with disability at the moment?
Okay, I believe that we can have a world where persons living with disability can be included in the regular activity that goes on. I see persons living with, I believe we can have a world where we won't be seen as less able or disabled, but we'll be seen as persons who are, if given the right tools, if given the right, the right support system, we can do as well as those who are not living with disability.
I want to thank you so much for the conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.